well, I know God's real because I saw the way the way he did things in Zambia.
Yeah.
I saw his power. And going to a Christian school, we had to read the case for Christ and all these things. So I was like, he's real. Jesus died on the cross for our sins. I know it without a shadow of a doubt. But I started to doubt that he loved me. And I was like, what if like he's chosen people and he hasn't chosen me?
Hear him out. I barely know him.
Welcome to the Hear 'Em Out podcast. I'm your host, Izzy, and this is a podcast about how the Lord speaks to us and asks us to hear Him out. So today we have Kaleigh and Ella.
Yay.
Last week, if you didn't listen last week, they were also both on last week. And Ella shared her story. And then today we have Kaleigh. And we're kind of on a time crunch because the building closes in
50 minutes.
Yeah. And so we're on a time crunch, but we're going to make it work. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to kind of have to dive right in.
Yeah.
That's another white person phrase, I feel like. Sorry, we were talking about white people phrases before this. Anyway. But Kaleigh and I met, technically, I think we met at Red River.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the first time we met.
Well, okay, I think when you met Ella, I was also there, but you were just assessing Ella.
Okay.
Because
I was under the microscope.
I was assessing the friends, too.
Well, I just remember Ella being like, Kaleigh, come to the porch. Like, I'm going to the porch with
Yeah. I'll bleep the name.
Yeah, with this guy and all of his friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Thinking like,
yeah, you're like, ooh, cute boys.
Then I show up and it's like all girls, and I was like, okay.
It literally, I think that week it was basically like none of the guys in our group really showed up.
And then, well, I should probably not name names, but Chase was also there.
Oh, yeah.
We used to be in a friend group with Chase for a little while.
Yeah.
Too, which was just funny because we were like, oh, hey.
Yes, yeah. Because that's when I think that's how I like really started, like met you / hung out with you. I think in February maybe, or maybe it was March or something.
Yeah.
But earlier in the year, I think Chase invited a group of us to Red River, and he was like, "Oh, some of my other friends are going."
I forgot about that.
And I think it was like you and Rachel maybe, and then like I showed up with like a couple of our other girlfriends maybe, and then like Chase was the only boy, and it was just like
he's thriving.
Yeah, he was thriving, but the rest of us were not because we were all just sitting around like waiting for Chase to ask us to dance, basically.
And then he goes and scours the floor to dance with other
because we were like, we don't really want to dance with strangers, so then we kind of just sat there and talked, but then kind of similar to Ella, it's like we knew each other, but like didn't really talk or anything. I think we like talked a little bit at Red River, but then we didn't really talk. Yeah. And then we started running together. Yeah. We were the caboose. Yeah. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Running really bonded us all.
It's
trauma bonding.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we joined running. Why we wanted to start is because we were like, it's a social thing. And like, if we get decent at it, then we can, make friends, and it's been very, very fruitful. It's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, but that's genuinely, I think, why I kind of like said yes in the first place to like the group, is because I was like, well, I need to get out of the house, like I'll go. And then I was like, I can run a mile. Yeah. I could not run a mile.
Dude, it's tough.
The first time, it was rough. But I started way too fast and just burnt out so fast. But now I'm starting to like learn it more. But anyway, it was like, I loved the social aspect and like just getting, I don't think y'all were at the first run I went to.
I think I was there.
Were you there?
Yeah. I hung out with like Morgan and Nick and Reed, and then Gus brought you.
Okay, see, I don't remember.
At White Rock?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I remember him telling us, like, oh, my friend Izzy's coming. And I was like, oh, yeah, I met Izzy.
I think I remember seeing you. And I was just like,
we didn't talk,
Kaleigh. But we didn't talk. Yeah. But, because I don't even think I met Morgan there. I don't think I met Morgan until later. Yeah. And so then kind of like just kept seeing y'all around. And then we started hanging out more, and now we're friends. Okay, do you have any fun stories that you'd like to? If you'd like to just like out me on my terrible running, like Ella did in the previous.
No.
Feel free.
Ella was trying to feel better about it.
Yeah. Feel free to just throw me under the bus. Whatever you need to do to feel better about yourself.
I feel like two memories come to mind.
Okay.
First was like just like a couple weeks ago, whenever we were at volleyball and we were like, we need to have like a girls' Sonic run after.
Yes.
And it was you, me,
that was
Ella.
last week.
Was it just last week?
Yeah.
That was so fun, though.
Yes.
I genuinely loved that. Because you, me, Ella, Priya, and Morgan, and, like, y'all, like, took the headrest off of your seat.
Yes.
And it was
we, like,
fun.
fully turned around, me and Morgan. Took the headrest
It was,
off.
like, it was a long
hang.
I didn't get home till, like, midnight.
Yeah.
It was, like, 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
But it was so fun. And just, like, I don't know. It's fun to, like, get to continue to make friends and, like, friends in a group environment outside of school. And, like, I love, like, our school friends. They're amazing. But it's also, like, this chapter of my life is coming to a close. And, like, I don't just want, like, one-on-one friends, because as much fun as that is, it's so much fun to have, like, a group of people to, like, hang out with. And everybody kind of knows everybody. So it was just, like, an encouraging moment.
Especially all
really
girls.
Fun. Yeah. No, it's just, you can really just, like, be yourself around all girls. And then probably on top of that was this Thanksgiving. Just getting to spend Thanksgiving with you. And
that was so sweet.
Yeah, and getting in your car and being, like, curled around Vince's bike. He had his bike in
that
the
did
car.
happen. Yeah. Because I picked up Vince and then I picked up Gus, and then I told Kaleigh, because she was like, I think I don't want to pay for parking, so I think I'm just gonna walk. Like, I'm gonna park far away and walk.
And walk to down.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll just scoop you up on the way, forgetting that I was gonna have Vince's bake in my car.
Yeah.
And so she got in, and I was like, just sit around the bike.
Yeah. I was just kind of like,
so I was like, it was like a 2-minute drive probably. Well, with traffic, it was longer. But it was not supposed to be that long of a drive. But, like, it was a very brief drive. So I was like, it's fine. So she kind of was like,
that is awesome.
So I did feel a little bad, but I was like, it's fine.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was just, it was crazy. And then we went and did the turkey trot, which was a lot of fun.
Which we stayed together the whole time, which is great.
They just, like, took off.
Everybody else just went bye.
But also, like, we're not being timed.
Yeah,
so I was
right. Yeah, which literally, it was funny because before they were like, we just want to walk, we just want to run with everybody. We don't care about the time.
Yeah.
Like, we just want to run with the group. We want to have fun. Like, we don't care about time. We'll run slow. Like, even Gus on the ride there was like, Izzy, you go first because we'll just follow your pace. And I was like, I don't want you guys to, like, I want you guys to follow my pace, but I don't want to be in front. Like, I don't like that. Like, it's easier if y'all are, like, in front of me for me to, like, keep up. So y'all just hold a 11-minute pace or whatever, and or 10:30 or whatever, and, like, I'll just keep up with it.
Did not happen.
They did not do that.
It was super crowded, first of all, and so we, like, the first, like, half mile. I'd say
first mile they were with us. Yeah.
We were just, like, bobbing and weaving, and it was just like crazy. You're just, like, going in and out of these crowds, and, like, it was fun, but I was like, this is like,
yes, it was very stressful.
It was so, like, thankfully Gus had on this bright red hat. And me and Izzy stayed
the one that Ella has too.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, that one. Yes. So it was easy to spot him, and then me and Izzy stayed close to each other. Yeah. But then at one point they just, like, took off.
We were like, okay, well, that was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
But we found him once we finished. But we did it. We ran the whole time. We did it.
It was great.
I was proud of myself.
We got coffee after.
Yeah, that was fun. We saw Macy. We saw the TikToker, the Jezzy Bath girl.
Lacey Abercrombie.
Oh my gosh, I don't think
she makes, like, the TikToks about, like, Christian
girls
like, or whatever.
POV, you're on your first date with Jezzy Bath, and she's like, oh my gosh, hi.
So I don't know. Funny.
Wait, I'll have to look.
We'll show you after. Okay. Yeah, but she was at Merritt on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
We were like, crazy. I think I, like, was like, do you know the Jezzy Bath girl? Yeah. And then you were like, no. Also, we looked her up. She does not have a famous birthdays. So Trevor's more famous than her. Trevor's officially
outed.
Yes.
Everybody Google Trevor Harvey.
I didn't say his last name.
Oh, we can bleep it out.
No, but we looked it up in the Merritt because I was like, oh, I wonder, like, how famous she is or something like that. Or we were talking about, like, fame, and I said something about Trevor.
He's more famous.
Yeah, and he was like, look her up on famous birthdays. Is she like? Yeah, he was like, is she on famous birthdays? And I looked her up, couldn't find her. He was like, yes, I'm more famous. Yeah. Oh, I know. He was eating it up. Yeah. So. But yeah, because then we're also talking about Hannah Montana's boyfriend.
Oh,
you met him?
Signed my arm.
Yeah, he signed your arm, right?
He came to a football game at our school, and they had, like, the sidelines fenced off, right, because he's famous. And so me and the other third graders crawled under the bleachers, and we stuck our arms out, I think we were just like waving or something, and then he had a Sharpie and he just signed smiley faces on all of our arms.
Aww.
Yeah.
And he has a famous birthdays, so we did look it up.
Yeah.
Is he the guy that was like the cowboy hat? Yeah.
Not from the movie.
No.
Okay.
This is from the show.
The show. I didn't know him until we looked him up because I also wasn't allowed to watch Hannah Montana. But anyway. Yeah, that was fun though. Yeah, because then we did that, and then we went to I dropped you back off at your car, and then I dropped Gus off, and then I went home, and then I came over for like a Thanksgiving lunch.
Yeah.
We watched Dan in Real Life.
Oh yeah, we watched this like Thanksgiving movie. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
and then it was just me and
I didn't know this.
Izzy
you
and my sister.
Oh yeah, this is our Thanksgiving. Live in real life update. Yeah,
it was really fun.
We watched some Friends then.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. We had a good talk. Like you, me, and your sister had a good talk too.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, it was good, and it was good just because like my parents are gone, and so me and my sister were already kind of like, we're gonna make a whole holiday out of just the two of us. It was fun to like have somebody else to get to celebrate with.
Yeah, and y'all are so welcoming and inviting. It just felt like one part of the fam, you know.
Yeah. So
it was great. Yeah, and then I went to Gus's after for just watching them play video games. I thought it was gonna be a group.
Yeah.
So Zay and me
and Gus
and Ryan.
Fun.
And then the rest of the roommates were there at some point. But funny. Well, because I also I was picking up one of my friends from the airport at like 12.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, well, I don't really want to be alone the rest of the night. So I was like, yeah, like Gus was like, oh, like let's have a hangout like with the group in the group chat. And multiple people liked it, including some girls. So then like well, actually, Jalen technically showed up. Oh my gosh, this is such a funny Jalen thing. This is such a funny Jalen thing. I'm leaving at 11:30. Okay, 11:30 p.m. And like Isaiah's already left. It was just like the roommates that were there, and they basically were letting me stay so that I could just go straight to the airport, and I wasn't just sitting at the airport for forever. So I was like, can I stay till like 11:30 so I don't have to like sit and wait too long? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. But they were tired. Like you could tell they were tired. And so I'm leaving, and there's this truck that's like pulling turning onto the street and kind of like cutting me off and like I like was kind of going on the side and kind of it's like honking at me, and I'm like, is that Jalen? And so what? And so I'm texting him when I get to the stop sign, and I'm like, was that you? And he was like, yeah, hi and bye. And I was like, does Gus know you're coming? And he was like, yeah, kinda.
No, he did not show up at 11:30 p.m.
That's so late.
Bro, you just
when the invite was for 7.
Yeah.
That's actually insane.
And it was funny. And this is the funniest thing. Because I was like, I think I said something of like, well, I think they're going to sleep. Like, I was left, like, they were both pretty tired. I think, like, going to bed. Yeah. I think they were basically just staying up because I was there. Yeah. And I was like, you might want to like call Gus or something. I don't know. Yeah. And then he was, I said, I texted him like 10 minutes later. Then I was like, did you go in? And he was like, no, I just sent a Thanksgiving text and left. No, he did not. He literally parked in their driveway. He parked in their driveway because I saw his truck go into the driveway.
Yeah.
And then so he parked in the driveway.
That's so
sent
funny.
a Thanksgiving text. That's funny. And then backed up and went all the way home.
Oh my gosh.
I was
honestly,
like, you know what? I was like, that is such a Jalen thing. Instead of texting first and being like, should I come now?
Yeah.
It was like, I'm just going to show up.
See what happens.
At 11:30.
At 11:30.
Gus is probably like, oh, we can finally go to sleep.
No,
closes
literally.
the door when you leave. And then imagine Jalen showing up. He would be like, dude.
No, literally,
he'd be
brushing
his teeth.
Everybody's gone.
Jalen's playing.
Yeah. But Jalen's like, so sleepover?
He's like, I'm ready, guys.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Such a Jalen thing. Love you, Jalen. It was just so funny. I was like, that is just so classic.
For really sending it.
Yeah, respect. He really like he drove all the way there and then all the way back.
He said this is important.
Yeah, for real. He is a committed guy. I will say that.
There you go. You got to give it to him.
Very funny. Anyway, okay, we can get into the topic at hand. But okay, Kaleigh, when is a time in your life that you feel like the Lord has asked you to hear mad about something?
Okay. So let me see.
You got 30 minutes.
Okay. So I feel like I'll set a little bit of a scene of kind of like Ella did on her episode.
Go listen if you haven't.
Yeah, you need to listen. This is a crossover episode.
Yes.
But like I grew up in a like partially mission field family.
Okay.
So my parents lived in Zambia May through August.
Wow.
So my dad was actually born in Zambia. His parents were missionaries. So, and on my mom's side, my grandparents were missionaries. So it's a big missionary family.
Yeah. Mine too. Did I ever tell you that?
Oh, cool.
African missionaries.
Wait, where in Africa?
Kenya.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Did your parents ever live there?
My dad did. My parents got engaged there.
Oh my gosh.
But my dad lived there for like 2 or 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
he was a missionary there. My grandparents were like missionaries for 25 plus years.
Wow.
And like would
That's awesome.
like I remember I don't think my siblings or my my dad and his siblings ever went when they were younger. But anyway, but I come from a long line of history too.
Yeah, that's super cool. It's like a cool legacy like that the like seeds that my grandparents and great grandparents like planted in faith like have created generations of Christ followers.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my grandparents were missionaries and my dad was born in Zambia.
Whoa. This is a funny side story. This is so quick. When I was in probably like 8th or 9th grade, I was doing a history report and my grandma was born in Kenya.
Oh, cool.
And I said, I don't remember what the history report was for, but I said that my grandma was African.
Oh no.
Oh. Okay,
it was cyber school. They couldn't see me.
Confusing.
Nobody knew what I looked like.
How
okay.
Would they know?
How would they know? How would they know?
When I tell people that my dad was born in Zambia, sometimes I'll get like a little bit of a pause from people because they're like,
were you adopted?
They're like, you're white. And I'm like, well, he's not Zambian. Like, plus, you can be white and be Zambian. But it was an American family that were doing missions. It's like on Mean Girls. Whenever Katie is like, she lived in, I don't know where she lived in,
somewhere. I think it was Africa. It was
somewhere in Africa. Yeah. And they were like, wait, if you're from Africa, why are you white?
That was literally, I was like, my grandma's African. And I was like, she's African American, guys.
Oh my gosh, no.
You did not.
Anyway, sorry. Back to your story.
So funny.
Yeah, I just had to. When you said your dad was born, I was like, my grandma too.
It's confusing, you know. But yeah. Anyway, my dad was born in Zambia, and then his family moved back over to the States when he was 6, and he kind of just like lived the regular life. Went to Baylor, was a finance bro. Married my mom. They had 3 kids. I'm the youngest. And when I was born, he was kind of just wanting to like revisit his own history. And so through the church that he was at, they had a vision trip to go to Zambia. And he was like, I'd love to see the place that I was born. Because he left when he was 6, so he didn't really remember it a ton. And so he just went back and fell in love with the people there and saw a need. He saw a lot of kids there that weren't able to go to school. They were like selling oranges on the side of the road because they couldn't afford to go to school. And so he just figured like this is like where the Lord is calling me. And so from 2000, a little bit after I was born, he decided to go into missions, but it was part-time mission basically. So he was always doing it, but he was only in Zambia like 2 to 3 months a year. And so my whole like upbringing, we would be in the States. I went for the first time when I was 4. We'd be in the States from August through May. I went to private school, which was a huge blessing because you'd think a missionary family doesn't have the money for that. But thankfully at this school at the time, I think they were a newer school. They were focusing more on like getting good Christian families there and less on like the money involved in it. And so we got huge scholarships to be there,
awesome.
Which was really cool. I think some things have changed now, but it was really a blessing to get to do that.
That's awesome.
So we would be in regular school all year, and then we spent our summers in Africa.
Wow.
And so
that's crazy.
It was a lot of fun. It was just like, it really shaped me as a person and bonded just all of our family members together. And like, we just understand each other in a way that a lot of other people could not understand us. So it was really cool. And
can you speak like Zambian?
Is that a little bit? Okay. My brother's fluent. He actually has a YouTube channel. Shout out. He doesn't do stuff on it anymore, but it's called Zambian American.
Whoa.
He teaches people how to speak Nyanja. That's the language.
Okay.
And then he makes like documentary videos about Zambia.
That's so cool. Yeah. Does he still go back?
He doesn't as much. My parents do, but he's married, has kids, and is working on other stuff right now. But we all want to go back.
So you can speak a little bit of, what's it called?
Nyanja.
Nyanja?
Yeah.
You can speak it?
Yeah. Do you want me to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just say Mlibwanji, and that just means how are you? And then you'd say, it's going on out there. I think the building's closing.
30 minutes.
Okay.
You just said it's closing in 30 mints. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Which it is. Yeah.
But yeah, Mlibwanji means how are you? And then they have a lot of similar words to Spanish. So you say bueno. In Spanish, you say bueno. In Nyanja, you say bueno. Yeah, it's good. And then I know a few other words.
That's crazy. Were you fluent at some point?
Not really. Not really. I knew a lot more than I do now at one point, but
I mean, you're like immersed in the culture for 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them spoke English. So English is the national language. They have a bunch of tribal languages, and the tribal language of the capital city, which was where we were at, was Nyanja, but because they have like 20 plus tribal languages, they made English the national language to kind of make it easier. Plus, it was a British colony.
Okay.
So there's a lot of British influences there.
Do they speak British?
I mean, they do.
Do they have accent, like British accents?
They don't have British accents, but like certain words that British people use, they use too. Like rubbish bin.
Oh, that's funny.
Or the way they the way they say dates. I said dates wrong the whole until I was in college. They will be like 1 November and so, but I was like, okay, I know we do the month first here. So I would always be like November 1 or November 22.
Some people still talk everybody at my work talks like that. They'll always be like, oh yeah, we started on March 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are we saying it like that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like raising my hand in these like work calls with like 30 people, and I'm like, why are we talking like this?
Yeah.
Like, why are we not saying March 1st?
Yeah.
I'm like, do you guys know something I don't know? Or
the formal way.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like,
but I'm like, it sounds wrong. Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, all that to say,
what did you do in Africa?
So basically we would get Americans, my parents modeled it after Pine Cove family camp because we did that a lot. So we would get families to come over from the States, and they would every member of the family that was over like 12 or 13 would have a group of 10 kids in their group. Oh. And we would just have it was day camp with these kids, these Zambian kids. So we'd have one-on-one times, we'd have big sessions. On one day, we would take them back out to the communities they were from, and they would get to practice sharing the gospel with the people in their community. And then at the end, the Americans would go back to the States. It was just a week, and they would tell their friends about the kids that they met and try and get them sponsored to go to private Christian school. So it was also cool because once you get the kids sponsored, we are able to track them. And so if the Americans come back another year, they get to see those same kids again. So a lot of the kids, like, I had my first group when I was like 10, and some of the kids are like graduating high school now, which is super cool. So
you're old.
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, it was really cool, and just like I think it shaped a lot of me and my faith, and I just was like, this is what God is doing with our family, and I thought if we're doing this, like nothing can be wrong with doing this.
Yeah.
And with working in ministry and nonprofits, there's lots of like ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I was a senior in high school, we went through a really rough spot. There was a lot of drama.
Like in Africa?
Yeah, just with the nonprofit. There's a lot more drama with nonprofits, at least with this one.
So your parents ran a nonprofit, or they worked for a nonprofit?
They started it. And then my dad was the president, and then my mom worked for it, and then my brother worked for it at one point.
Okay, but there were other people working for it as well.
Yeah, it had grown by the time my parents left. There was probably like 50 Americans that worked for it, and then maybe like 300-400 Zambians.
Okay,
so
Wow.
It had grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
And with that many people and with board members that make a lot of money and with donors, there becomes drama.
Because it's like, we want you to do it this way and we're giving you money. So therefore,
exactly. Like people want control, people want it to be done in a certain way. And then things had just kind of gotten a little bit out of hand. And, I won't go into all of it, obviously, but it led to my dad kind of being asked to leave the ministry. And so that was like beginning of my senior year. And I was kind of like,
he literally started it.
Yeah, I was
That's crazy.
Just wrestling in that time with like, we're serving you, God. Like I sacrificed so much like of my childhood. Like I sacrificed my dad.
Yeah.
Because like I love my dad so much and I'm so glad he did all that he did to serve the people there. But, he spent a lot of time doing that. And like
not as much time with you.
Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes he would have to be gone for like a month at a time. And it like one fall it was like we came back from Zambia in August. He was home for 2 weeks. He left for another month. Came back home for 3 weeks for my birthday and then left for another month and then came back home 5 days before Christmas. And so it was just like less time with him, but we were all kind of like, well, God, my dad is serving the Lord, so it's okay. Like, this is my sacrifice, is like sacrificing time with my dad so he can serve other people. And so he just like, he was a present father when he wasn't like stressed and when he wasn't in Zambia. He was a great father. But it was just, I was like, I've given so much to these people. I've given so much to like this ministry and my parents have. And then to just be like, that taken away from us. And it was not really in a good way. Like I went back to Zambia the next year because my mom and my brother still worked there. And
was that weird?
It was weird because people wouldn't say his name and they would always be like, things are different now that staffing has changed. And it just felt like my dad's name was like the forbidden name.
I'm shocked your mom and brother worked there still.
Shocking. My mom had been doing it since I was like 7.
Yeah.
And it just like my brother had hopes of becoming the next president and CEO of the ministry. And so he kind of wanted to like write it out. And we care about the children there. And so it just it was a lot of drama. And I just felt like I didn't understand why God didn't want us there. And like, it was not in a way of like, oh, the Kendalls have left, but like, we still love them. It's like they had rewritten stuff on the website to not use our names and take our pictures off, which is fine. But it's also like, it's called family legacy because of the family legacy of my grandparents starting ministries there and then my dad coming back over that. So it's just like a little bit hurtful in that. Yeah. And I think I just wrestled with a lot of like confusion and not understanding what God was doing in all of that and why he wouldn't want us there, And honestly, like it ended up being one of the biggest blessings just because like God, I think he saw that my dad loved the children in Zambia so much, but there's also like he had a family as well and like he had a wife as well. And like I think my dad's role is also to serve his wife and his kids. And obviously I was a senior in high school and I was the youngest. So the role in like serving us as children is like a little bit different by that point. But I was honestly just like worried about my mom because I was like, if my dad like goes to Zambia for a month, then she's just going to be here alone. And like, I'm going to college and like, I don't know. I was just worried about her and like, and my dad. And I don't know. I think God really used that as like a time to just like you've done a lot for the people of Zambia, but like now I want you to prioritize like the people that I've given you here, like the family that you have. And I think that like it was hard to like swallow that pill of like, even though we have like such a tie to this people in this country, like that doesn't mean that God still doesn't have like plans for us. And my parents actually started another nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
And they're not trying to like compete with the one that they started originally. It's kind of filling in gaps that the one that they had originally. So the first one, Family Legacy, focuses on children who, like school-age children, getting them sponsored to go to high school, grade school, middle school, high school. And they have a smaller group that they work on getting them sponsored to go to college, but that takes a lot of work and time because it's a lot of money. And so they hadn't really grown that out a lot, and there was a lot of kids that were coming through the system, graduating high school, and not having parents to teach them life skills and to teach them how to manage their money and how to like take care of themselves and all of that. And they also couldn't go to college. And so it was like we'd poured so much into them to get this education, but they couldn't take it like the extra mile. And so now that's what my parents' ministry is focusing on.
That's
is
awesome.
Like high school and college kids, just like professional development. And he actually had me do a little talk on study skills and just professional development and teaching them like going to college and managing
like preparing them for like adulthood.
Yeah, and then just getting them sponsored to go to college.
That's
finding
awesome.
Sponsors for them. So God still has, like, he is using my dad in that, but also at the same time, like, there's so much more balance that my parents have now. And like I got to see my parents fall in love again, like after I went to college and after my dad like
That's so sweet.
stepped away from this ministry. So I think God was trying to say, like, hear me out. Like, I know you think that this is the only thing that I can do with your life, but like I have so much more and I have so much better, and like you can still serve the people of Zambia, and like he can still serve my mom and like love her, and like
it's just gonna look different.
It's just gonna look different, and it was for the better. And I think I just had to trust him in that he always has a good plan. And then I kind of finished out that senior year. Throughout that senior year, I was experiencing like a shift in childlike faith to like faith is hard.
Yeah.
And the first part of that was my parents leaving Family Legacy and being like, this is what I thought it would always be.
Yeah.
I thought it would be this until I was like 50 years old or something like that. And then I just struggled a lot with doubt, because I think I had thought, like, if I pray to God for something that is in his will,
like it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because there had been so many, we had gotten to see a lot of miracles happen, honestly, in Zambia.
That's awesome.
Just because people have a lot of faith there, and like God can do really big things. And we saw this girl that hadn't walked in like years get to walk again, and it was really cool. So
that's awesome.
I kind of had
getting chills. That's
like
crazy.
Childlike faith. We actually saw a girl who she had these. This is getting a little spiritual. She had witches come into her house every night while she was sleeping. I mean, they have curtains for doors, so anybody can just walk in. And she would have these dreams every night that these witches were doing spells on her, but she thought they were just dreams. But it was because they come in your sleep and they'll cut your skin, put things under it, and like sometimes kids will have like leaves under their skin that people have put under there. And so,
do that?
I don't know.
They're crazy.
It's just like a sick, I don't know.
Yeah. That
so
is crazy.
My dad had preached a message to the kids saying like, you can have power in the name of Jesus if you hear the word, understand the word, believe the word, and speak the word. And the final part was speaking the word. And he was like, if you say the name of Jesus, you have power. Like, the demons have to run and hide. And we would do little skits with people to kind of teach the children, because they're,
they're kids,
10, 12 years old. And then he asked them all, we were going over Psalms 23, and he asked them to walk around their house and just recite over and over again, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Wow. So this little girl, she's literally like 10 years old. She goes home, walks around her house and says, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. She goes to sleep. Nothing happens that night, but she's not thinking much of it. She thought they were just dreams. She wakes up in the morning, and the 3 witches from her dreams are sitting outside of her home. And they said, last night we tried to get in your home. We couldn't get in. It's a curtain for a door. they said there was something stopping us. We literally could not get into your house.
Praise the Lord.
I know. And so they were like, why? What did you do? How did you do that? And so she told them. And then we have discipleship leaders in each community. And so she told the discipleship leader, and this discipleship leader shared the gospel with these 3 witches, and they came to know the Lord.
What?
So,
praise the Lord. That is great.
It's just really cool to see all of that.
That is so cool. Chills.
I know.
Like, won't he do it? That is insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
wow. That's amazing.
There's a lot of stories like that, honestly.
Yeah.
So honestly, I just had a very childlike faith in, like, you say the name of Jesus, if you ask for it in his will, it's going to happen. And then, like, I had struggled with a lot of, like, anxiety about going to college because I went to a private school my whole life, had the same friends since 2nd grade. And I was like, what if nobody likes me? What if I can't make friends? You know? And so I started to have, like, little panic attacks about going to college because I was just like, I don't even know if anyone's going to like me. Like, I haven't made a friend in a long time because I still have my friends from when I was, like, in 2nd grade. And
wait, pause. We have 15 minutes, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I just had prayed to the Lord, like, Lord, take away my anxiety, give me peace, help me trust in you, and, like, just make me feel better about this anxiety that I was feeling. And I was like, that's a good thing. Like, why would he not want to give that to me?
Yeah.
And I did not feel that peace or that resolve. I still had that anxiety. And then it started to, like, cause me to spiral a little bit in my faith, to think, like, wait, like, first my dad, you know, gets kicked out of this ministry, and that is not what I thought would happen. And then now I'm struggling with anxiety and, like, panic attacks, and I can't, like, God isn't helping me with that either. And so then I just started to doubt, like, well, I know God's real because I saw the way the way he did things in Zambia.
Yeah.
I saw his power. And going to a Christian school, we had to read the case for Christ and all these things. So I was like, he's real. Jesus died on the cross for our sins. I know it without a shadow of a doubt. But I started to doubt that he loved me. And I was like, what if, like, he's chosen people and he hasn't chosen me? And then it's like one of those things that, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to doubt, but I still couldn't, like, believe that he loved me.
Yeah.
I didn't have that personal revelation in my life. We learned in school there's general revelation, which is, like, God revealing himself to you through creation. Then there's special revelation, which is him revealing himself to you through his word. And then there's personal revelation, which is him revealing himself to you through what he does in your life. And I remember thinking, I don't need personal revelation because I have general and special.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know everything that I need to know. I know he's real. I know what he wants me to do. So check and check. And that's really what it came down to, is just not, like, understanding, like, that he loved me. And that went on for 2 years. But 2 years of just doubt that continually got worse. And I wanted to, like, believe because, like, being a Christian was, like, who I am. Going to a Christian school, growing up in a missionary family, going to A&M, going to Impact, being in Crew. I was leading a Crew Bible study. I was a camp counselor at Pine Cove because my mom was a camp counselor at Pine Cove way back, and so were my siblings. And so I didn't want to tell anyone that I didn't know if I believed it anymore. And it kind of, like, similar to what Ella was saying on her episode, was like the devil's lies, that if anyone found out that you're doubting this, like, they got to me. And I decided, like, I just kept it in. I didn't want to tell my family. I didn't want to tell my friends. And I couldn't tell the ministry I was serving with because then I was afraid that they didn't want me to lead a Bible study.
Yeah.
Because I was leading a Bible study, but I wasn't believing the words that I was saying. I was like, Jesus loves you. But I didn't really believe that he loved me.
That's hard. Yeah.
So it was just kind of like I kept asking the Lord to, like, just help me believe again. Like, I couldn't get myself, like, I was like, just show me that you love me. Help me believe. Like, I wanted to.
Yeah, like, I believe, help my unbelief.
Yeah, literally. And then one of my friends, my roommate, told me a poem basically about this guy with blue skin. It's a Shel Silverstein poem. Basically, this guy with blue skin searches his whole life for a girl with blue skin, and a girl with blue skin searches her whole life for a guy with blue skin. And every day they put on a mask to cover up their blue skin, and they never found each other. And I just was like, dang, like that's the power of vulnerability. Like you're searching for someone who understands you, but you're too afraid to be vulnerable.
Dang. Wait, that's deep.
I know. And
that's deep. Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
Like she did not know what I was dealing with, but when she told me that was what like moved me to share with my Bible study that I was like dealing with doubt. The one that I was in, not the one that I was leading. I was able to tell them.
Yeah.
And then one of the girls came forward and was like, hey, like I've struggled with that too. And she like, we met up, we got coffee, she prayed over me, she gave me this book that she read. And I read it, and I hadn't really gotten to the point where I believed that Jesus loved me, but I was like, I felt like my heart was getting ready for what God was going to do. And then I went to Crew Winter Conference, and we had to write down on a piece of paper what we wanted.
Is this in college?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sophomore year of college. Because this went on from January of senior year of high school to January of sophomore year, which exactly 2 years to the date.
Okay.
And I wrote down on a little piece of paper, like, I want my faith to be revived. And then there's this song that just meant a lot to me called Lean Back by Kendall.
I love Lean Back.
I
believe in the loving arms of you.
So good.
Okay, anyway. We're short on time, sorry.
And I just was like, we were in worship, and I hadn't heard that song very much. Like I
haven't heard it in a while.
Yeah. I only heard it at camp. They would play it every Friday night. And it was like we would like look up at the stars while they were playing it.
Deep.
And I just prayed. Like I was like, Lord, if you see me and you love me, like will you just make that the next song? And then that was the next song. And then I just started crying because I just felt like the moment of like leaving the 99 for me. Not that he was leaving the 99, but I was like, wait, you wanted me enough.
He's making it personal.
Out of like all of these people to like show me that you love me. And that the personal revelation. Yeah, that's really where I got that. And then like for a little while I was like, why did I have to go through those 2 years? But I think in a similar sense, like God was like, hear me out. There's something in that 2 years of doubt where I actually learned what it looked like to be without the Lord. And I had like kind of spiritual depression. I didn't want to talk about Jesus. Like even though I was leading Bible studies, outside of that, I didn't want to talk about Jesus. I didn't want to think about him. I didn't want to do quiet time. I didn't want to pray to him because it made me sad, because I thought, what's the hope if there isn't Jesus, you know? Like, what do I even have to live for? And it was just like really depressing, and I felt like I had to dissociate from anything like spiritual. And I just had to like live in the now because that's the only thing that I could control. And I don't know, coming out of that, it gave me so much more like compassion and like understanding for people that don't know the Lord. Like they really don't, like they have to live in the now. Like they're not, you know, able to like say, okay, this is stressful, but I know God's got it.
Right.
And like, I know in the end, like I get to see God. And like, I think it just like broadened my understanding, and it also broke down a lot of my pride, because I think I had a little bit of pride in like, well, I don't drink, I don't party, I don't do drugs.
Goody two shoes.
Yeah, I was a goody two shoes, and I was kind of like, Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and I guess I gossip every once in a while, you know. I didn't really have like this deep like, wow, like thank you for what you've done, until that happened. And then like even when I think about it, sometimes I'm just like, I start crying because I'm like, thank you for coming back for me, because I may have walked away. Like I was genuinely thinking about after Crew Winter Conference, like telling people at Crew that I couldn't serve anymore because I just felt like I felt like a fraud to serve when I don't believe it.
Because Satan wants to do that. Like he's like I feel like that's why you hear so often about so many like church leaders falling, like you know, from like just like their sin coming out, and it's like, wow, they did this big thing, or that, you know, they had an affair or whatever. And it's like, yeah, because Satan's targeting leaders of the church, and Satan's targeting people that are making any impact in the kingdom. And so it's like, you were leading a Bible study. Like Satan is going to target the leaders, you know, and target the people that are leading those Bible studies, because he's like, well, if, like, he literally knew, like, I'm gonna make her doubt, because if I do that, then her ministry isn't gonna have as big of an impact, you know?
Yeah, and he kept me isolated for a year and a half.
Yeah,
of not telling anyone. And I think honestly, just like of both of those stories, of my parents in ministry and then my 2-year period of doubt, like, my favorite Bible verse when I was like a little kid, we all chose our favorite Bible verses at a young age, and I said Romans 8:28, and it's, and we know God causes all things to work together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And both of those things seem like bad things that with time and perspective I learned were really good things. Like my dad,
like the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good.
Exactly. Yeah. Like my dad getting pulled away from ministry, like it enabled him to be able to serve his family more. And now he can still do ministry and serve his family and love my mom. And just, he's a much more like fun and present father. Even though I'm like 25, like me and my sister talk about how much more fun he is now, because he's not stressed with work. And in the period of doubt, like God really broke down that pride that I had and increased my dependence on him and my compassion for those that don't know him. So it just, you know, there's many times when things happen that aren't according to our plan, and that we don't even understand why God would want that to happen. And God has good plans in all of that.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Join me next week. One of my old friends, Kaleigh, is on the podcast, and she talks about how the Lord really just gave her a lot of direction and made it pretty clear to her in what she wanted to do with her job and with a career and schooling, and it's pretty awesome. So tune in next week, but until then, have a great week.